going just as fast as modern traffic, one-handed, still talking to you guys. I love it. These are the best days for me. I just can't help but smile. So now you want to pass like a dump truck, get after it, pass them, shift it into 5th gear. The perfect sunny Southern California day. We're gonna let it warm up for a second. I like having the Terminator X-Max handy. I don't really refer to it too much, but it's got a lot of data on it. Everything that you need to know is on the gauges though. So this thing is, it's handy to have if you're really concerned about air-fuel ratio, air control, throttle position. If you really want to know what's going on with all the sensors in your engine, this handheld's really handy. But just for a nice leisurely cruise, these Dakota Digital gauges are really nice. They'll do the trick. The other nice thing in this car, there's a wireless phone charger. So you just set your cell phone on that pad there and it'll wirelessly charge. Just another really cool feature that we built into the car. This thing is so fun. All right, so let's talk about the car a little bit. It's a 70 Charger. This is a car that we bought. We started with a pretty complete car, but it was a total cruiser. And when I say that, I mean this car had a big block, so it was powerful, but it had a 3-speed automatic transmission, which the legendary Chrysler 727 transmission, great transmission, but it didn't really have the longest legs like for the freeway. It had a bench seat and a column shifter, which was really cool. It's a different vibe though. You know, that's why I say it was a cruiser. It had basically all factory type suspension. The only upgrade to the suspension was like just rebuilding it. All the bushings and everything were new on it. Factory steering, power steering, that was, you know, just really sloppy. Big steering wheel. It was a car that you didn't really want to go fast and it didn't feel sporty. And with this car being so big and the suspension just kind of wallowing, it wasn't the best driving car. You felt like you were in an old car. And that was the immediate thing that struck me when we bought it. It looked kind of sporty because it was red. It was a different shade of red, but it did not drive sporty. And so we got the car back and we had been on the hunt for a Charger. We always are. We got the car back to the shop and I had driven it probably 70 miles on the way back home from buying it. And our first thought was, like, the 440 is cool, it's kind of exciting, but what kind of engine do we want to put in this thing? And we had not built one yet with a Gen 3. We'd given away a car with a Gen 3, but they were never anything too wild. So we went to the Blueprint catalog. That's like our go-to. They started playing with Gen 3 Hemis, and they go all out. So they built a 426 Gen 3 Hemi. We called them up and they said, yeah, we have one ready to ship, and it's our builder series. So it comes with a 5-speed TKX transmission, a CVF front accessory drive, a Holley Terminator. It comes dynoed, shipped to your door, assembled, pretty close to plug and play. So we thought, okay, like that, that sounds like what we want. So we pulled the trigger, and when we waited for it, we said, okay, like what else does this car need to put that engine and transit in? So QA1's catalog got opened up. We went full bore on the QA1 catalog. So this is their level 2 setup. The only difference, we had a level 3 with their mod shocks, but we're building another Charger with a Hellcat. So we went ahead and put the mod shocks on the Hellcat, and we put double adjustables on this thing. So it has their double adjustable coilovers, which are really good. And with the QA1 being a full subframe, a rack and pinion steering, a 4-link, it just completely changed this car. I would say if any one thing changed it the most as far as driving characteristics, it's gonna be the QA1 stuff. Obviously the Blueprint Gen 3 426 Hemi makes a ton of power, It revs up nice. It's fuel injected. The 5-speed is super fun to drive. I have been waiting to feel what one of these new TKXs was like, and it just doesn't disappoint. They're a little bit wider gear ratio as far as the split between gears than like a 6-speed is, but it's kind of nice because you can wind the gears out a little longer. You're not shifting as much, but this car makes such good power throughout the RPM range that it really isn't a problem at all. Okay, going back to the biggest change after driving this car. So we actually used this car in another QA1 video where we drove this back to back with a car that had full QA1 suspension on it already, and this was kind of our comparison for a stock style suspension. And so in that video, it was clear that there was a huge difference. So immediately we said that's what we have to put on this car. We went ahead, bought it. It was all familiar stuff. The rack and pinion is a huge thing too. It completely changes the handling characteristics of the car. The way the steering feels is like super intuitive. I mean, even within your lane, like a minor input is just right away. And that's what we wanted. It makes it feel really confidence inspiring to drive. Everyone gets out of this car and they talk about how nice it drives. And even simple things like cruising down the freeway right now. I think we're going 70 miles an hour in 5th gear, so that overdrive really helps. This car's at like 2,000. You get up to like, until you get to about 80, you'll stay in that 2,000 to 3,000 RPM range. Modern engine's super happy there. This thing actually gets decent mileage. I haven't tracked the mileage, but we drive it a lot, mostly like freeway driving. And it's been getting good mileage on the freeway, which is insane to me. That you can have basically 650 horsepower on tap, a stick shift, a big muscle car, and get probably somewhere in the 20 mile per gallon range. It's just wild. It was an unexpected benefit from building this car. We didn't set out to build a car that got good gas mileage. When you have big cubic inches, it's almost not possible anymore. But the way the transmission keeps the car in the right RPM range, the way you don't have to fully rev it out because it's making so much torque down low, you can drive this car in the lower RPM ranges, still feel like you're keeping up with traffic, you're having fun, and you're not pushing the car that hard. So all that translates. And the weight. So the power to weight is a huge thing. And this car, you would see it and you would think this is a huge boat. It's solid steel, probably weighs a ton. This car weighs 3,500 pounds. I think it was 3,550 with like a half tank of gas in it. So that surprised me. We scaled the car and it didn't weigh as much as I thought. Even though we're not missing any components, we didn't strip this car down to make weight. We actually added stuff into the car, but there is certain things like this transmission definitely weighs a lot less than a 727. The Gen 3 HEMI has a lot of aluminum components on it, so it definitely weighs a lot less than the 440 that was in here. The CVF up front accessory drive is pretty much all aluminum. This has a fabricated sheet metal aluminum intake manifold from Blueprint, aluminum heads, just a lot of stuff like that cuts down in weight. I think the rack and pinion is definitely coming in at a lot less weight than a steering box on this car. The 4-link, I have not weighed it compared to leaf springs, but everything added up to cut down weight. Disc brakes as opposed to drums. You know, these flow-formed wheels are kind of lightweight, so that helps. But yeah, 3,500 pounds of change. I was pleasantly surprised, and it makes this car feel that way. A lot of modern cars are heavier than that by today's standards, so this car feels responsive because of that weight. So keeping the weight balanced too. When we scaled it, it was pretty well balanced. It was not 50-50 because we obviously got an engine in the front, but it was, I want to say it was about like 47-53, which is really good and close. You'll see like an on-ramp like this, it has undulating situations between the expansion joints and the bridge, and we're going 65 miles an hour, I got super good confidence in the car. I had one hand on the wheel, accelerating through that. No problems with that. That's where this car is really fun, is out like canyon carving, on ramps. You know, on the freeway, this car is so predictable and smooth that I don't want to say it's boring to drive, but you can get in situations where you're just in traffic and you're relaxed in the car. So I would say being relaxed at freeway speeds in a muscle car, that was a good goal. That was a good point for us to hit while we're still having, you know, performance dynamics. We still have coilovers that are fully adjustable. We got big brakes, we got a manual transmission, rack and pinion, so the car steers well, handles well, just does everything well. So as you see now, we're 75 plus. We're keeping up with, like, I don't know, this is like an AMG Mercedes or whatever ahead of us. But those cars are designed for the Autobahn. They're designed to be smooth at 100 plus. Right now we're going 80, and this thing is butter smooth, which is going to make for a nice relaxing drive so that you can use this car any way you want. That's kind of the goal with a well-rounded car. This car at 645, 650 horsepower, it's got a good amount of power. It's all there, it's on tap. You can use it, you can mash the throttle in this car, do a burnout, throw this car into a turn. You can use the power on this car, and it's not gonna scare you. You're gonna be comfortable the minute you get in it. You're gonna be able to know that the car is predictable, and that was kind of our goal. A lot of things went into that. We have a build sheet that talks about every single component that went into making up that formula. Another big one is all the chassis stiffening from US Car Tool. That added up to making the unibody stiffer so that the suspension can work. A lot of times these old sloppy unibodies, they flex a lot. And so no matter what your suspension's trying to do, you have the car flexing and it's doing some suspension work that's a lot more unpredictable than what a coilover will do. So getting rid of that helped quite a bit. And we have a lot of solid mounts, not completely solid, but we have urethane, polyurethane engine mounts, polyurethane transmission mount. So the drivetrain is very connected to the car without being harsh. You know, this engine is pretty smooth. So, you know, you have where you feel the engine, you feel connected to the car, but it's not annoying. It's not super loud. It's not super raw. The MagnaFlows were like the perfect choice for this Gen 3 Hemi. So we have full 2.5 stainless exhaust with an X-pipe, MagnaFlow stainless mufflers, and we routed it under the axle because of all the 4-link components. So we still have plenty of ground clearance, but you don't have to worry about any of the exhaust hitting the suspension during articulation. And then we were able to run the exhaust all the way out the back so that on the freeway, 2200 RPM, you can hear the car, but it's not droning. The MagnaFlow mufflers really clean up the tone. I'm sure you've all heard Gen 3 Hemis, whether there's some annoying guy on your street with a 392 that's straight piped or some obnoxious exhaust. The Gen 3 Hemi can be hard to make sound good, but this thing sounds really, really good. You get more intake noise because of the sheet metal intake manifold, but then because we're running like shorty hooker headers and we're running the exhaust all the way out the back with an X-pipe, it really made for a tone that I hadn't really heard before on a Gen 3 Hemi, and it sounded really good. You know, like from the outside of this car, it sounds incredible. On the inside, it's not annoying, but you can hear what the car is doing. So that's a big plus as far as drivability, and knowing that you're still in a muscle car. So interior-wise, that was a big thing for us. I wanted the ultimate winner to still know and feel like they were in a muscle car. And the Charger has a very unique layout. It's a very flat dash, but it's got its gauge panel layout, which is really cool. You see a lot of aftermarket gauge panels that end up going to this 2 large round gauges and then a couple little gauges in the pod. The Charger already had that layout. So just slapping some Dakota Digitals in those pods got you all the modern features, but we stuck with like the vintage font for everything. so that this thing is really identifiable charger. All your light switches are in the factory layout. Even your AC controls are in the factory location, but these are really, really high-end vintage air, you know, AC controls, so they just feel really smooth and nice to the touch. Intuitive factory radio location, but it's a retro sound, so it has all the modern features like Bluetooth connectivity, digital display. So it's just really like tastefully upgrading and staying true to being a RestoMod. That's kind of our goal here. Everything that we did, we wanted it to blend seamlessly and not stand out. So just subtle touches like having our AC vents still have that rectangular shape that blends with everything else, be tucked away, but they reach you really nice. So when you have the heater, the AC on, nothing stands out. And then we went ahead, and this was a factory AC car, so the dash had cutouts for factory AC vents down on the side. We went ahead and reused those. We just bought brand new ones. Everything else in the interior is just brand new. A lot of factory type parts that are just original, you know, like all this dash trim, the lower dash trim, it's all completely brand new. We repainted a lot of stuff like the ashtray, the door tops, but all the A-pillars are brand new, the dash pad's brand new. Everything that was a factory original piece that was painted, we stripped it down, repainted it, factory style mirror, headliner, brand new visors, just all the factory type stuff that we wanted to retain, just make it better than new, make it all fit good. Spent a lot of time playing with fit, finish, function. All the glass is new, brand new vent windows, so all the seals are new. So all this glass looks like you're in a brand new car from 1970, which is incredible. This has standard type interior door panels with good old manual window cranks. That's something that we had so much manual stuff on this car that I like the idea of having a manual window crank as an input. The steering wheel is a big thing for me. We almost never leave the steering wheel that's in the car when we buy it, because for me it's such a big touch point, and depending on where we go with the ultimate theme of the car, I want the steering wheel to kind of epitomize that. And so having something that was classy and simple, but like a good 3-spoke design was important for me. So we went with the billet specialties. It has leather that ties in well with the leather seats, but a half wrap, so it has these finger grips on the back. So when you grip this wheel, it feels like it's the right size, it's controllable, but just very basic. Just a nice clean horn button that works. And then it's connected to a tilt column. So this is a Flaming River tilt column. So it has mostly GM style internal components, but it's all mated to a factory replacement style wiring harness. So this has a full American Auto wire harness with all the gauges in the glove, or all the fuses are in the glove box, so it's all really easy to, you know, work on and service. Serviceability is a big thing for me, being a car builder. I want to hand over the keys to a car that's not so exotic that you have to completely take it apart to service it. But I want everything that's visible to look really tidy and clean and just well thought out. So continuing on the interior, we have the iconic pistol grip shifter. We had a stick shift 70 Mopar, it had to have a pistol grip shifter. We bought a Hurst shifter that's designed to mate to, you know, a factory transmission that mounts over here. It's really tall and long, so I cut this down. I kept getting in the car with the seats in it and the column in it. I kept getting into the car and seeing where the shifter handle felt good, and I cut it all down and mounted it until it got to that point. I took a nice leather boot and just cleanly mounted it to the floor, and then we reached out to Joe Craver, a local woodworker, and he built this beautiful shifter handle. The actual grip is not the original pistol grip fake wood that a Charger would have had. This is actual wood. I think it's a blonde walnut, if I'm not mistaken, but it's a local Southern California wood, and it was much lighter colored when we got it, but the more it gets used, the oils from your hands, this thing just has so much character, and it's just a really cool thing because it's another touch point, and everyone that's got in and driven the car comments on it right away because they're like, wow, this feels really good, because it's a nice soft piece of wood, and it's just so juxtaposed to all the metal. You know, this thing is a machine. Having something like that, just a real classy touch on a car. So we went ahead and did that. And then the seats that you're in, these are Sparco GT seats. I really wanted a seat that was going to hold you in place, because this car's handling capabilities are so good now that eventually you'd just be sliding around trying to brace yourself in the car. With this and being a stick shift, you don't have to worry about it with the Sparco GTs. We've mounted them in a nice low location, and that gives you a more connected to the road feel, because you're a little lower in the car. You got a ton of headroom, but it makes the car feel a lot sportier because you feel more connected to the road. And then we also made sure that the car could accommodate any size driver. So we have people in our office that are 6'5". This car was driven yesterday by a guy that's 6'5". I made minor adjustments, and all the controls are right where you want them. So making the seat and having the sliders where you can adjust it, and you know, having a big car to start with gives you a lot more room to play with. But there were certain decisions that I made, like not having a big bulky console makes the car feel more open and big. But I still wanted cup holders. I still wanted a console that we could have a wireless charger, somewhere you could throw the Holley Terminator X-Max screen so that you don't have it always mounted on the car. Screens are nice, and having them somewhere where you can see them sometimes can be good, but to me it distracts from the overall classic look of the car. This car having a black interior, everything's real classy on it, so I wanted to make sure we could keep that. Having a console gives you a nice place to put stuff. We still have a glove box in the car, so you can put all your paperwork in there. But the console was a big thing. This car, you can heel toe downshift, you can blip downshift, rev match the car. And that was something that I wanted to think about when we were putting it together, because I do want the ultimate winner, if they do want to, you know, perfect their skills on an autocross or something, I want the car to be ready for them to do that. So you can rev match the car, throw it in second, and you're right there in a good RPM range. And part of that was getting this drive-by-wire. This is like a factory Mopar pedal, and getting it in a position where it felt good with the relation to the brake pedal and the clutch pedal. We ended up using a factory-style brake and clutch pedal to convert this thing from automatic to stick shift. So using a pedal like that made a big difference. And then getting the throttle pedal to be in the right spot. Everyone I've talked to, they get in this car and it's nothing that you think about. So a lot of times with a muscle car like this, you're thinking about it the first couple times you drive it. You're like, okay, I gotta get used to where the shifter is. I gotta get used to the pedal layout. I wanted to eliminate that. I wanted you to get comfortable quick in this car. So when I was laying out the ergonomics, that was pretty important to me. And just putting a lot of thought into everything that we put into these cars. There's a million aftermarket parts on the market, and you could go crazy with the catalog. But what I really wanted to do is get to the point where, you know, everything that we picked worked together. And that's something that's been a learning experience. Basically, what we do is like, we just have experience of all these parts, what works, what feels good together, what doesn't always work, what things are good in theory but not good in practice. That's just a trial and error thing. So I think every time we build one of these cars, it gets better and better. I'm always building them for drivability. You know, there's a lot of cars that there's some really talented craftsmen out there building that are really pieces of art. And it's hit or miss with drivability on a piece of art. Some of them are great, some of them not so great. This car, I had a little bit more emphasis on keeping the soul of a Charger, so not radically changing anything looks-wise, but putting all these modern touches into that to make it drive really good, so that I could just hop in on a beautiful day, go cruise San Diego, take this car on a bridge, talk to you the whole time. It's a stick shift car with manual brakes. and nothing feels labored. The brakes have a really good feel to them. They're really big Wilwood brakes. So 6 piston calipers in the front with 14-inch rotors, 11-inch rotors in the back with 4 piston calipers, and the manual brake setup, knowing your pedal geometry and getting the right size master cylinder from Wilwood made it so that the brakes have a nice linear feel. They're not too stiff even though they're manual, but when you really stand on them hard, they keep biting and stopping this car harder. So it's just predictable every single time, and that's something I wanted, so that you're not like driving this and one day the brakes feel a little bit different, or you run out of vacuum in your booster because you've been sitting in the Taco Bell line. Whatever it is, I just wanted to make sure that this car just felt predictable all the time and sporty. That was a really cool byproduct of all the modern components going on this car, is that the car feels a lot lighter and nimble than it really is. So having a sporty feeling car was kind of important. I love that part too. You can just accelerate on this car. The tires are sticky Falcon tires on this. So they're 6/16s. It's one of their stickiest compounds. This is essentially a summer tire. So this car is going to be really happy when these tires are warmed up. So as you drive it, when you first come out of your garage, or if the weather's really cold, don't start throwing this thing into turns. I would let the tires warm up for a little bit, and then you can feel how they're stuck and really planted to the ground. And that's just another thing that we wanted to not put this car on a tire that wasn't going to be able to make use of the performance capabilities. There's a lot of good all-season tires for your everyday driver or your cruiser that you're going to take out in the rain and the snow and all that. I don't think that's the use case for this car. I think the performance level of a stick shift car is going to be best enjoyed on a nice day. So putting some real sticky, they call them summer compound tires, that was my choice. Falcon worked with us and sent us these tires. Shout out to them. It was really cool for me to experience their real high-end tire, because sometimes we've done their Azenis tires, and we do different tire compounds. This tire is really kind of developed for a car at this weight too. So another big thing when you're picking tires, when you have a staggered wheel setup, so we have these really cool American racing groove tires, or groove wheels on this. This is their 514, it's a flow formed wheel. We've used it before on a Charger. It just looks really good on a muscle car. Very classic, timeless 5-spoke design with a diamond cut that kind of matched our theme of having, a lot of aluminum finishes matched with the black and the red. The wheel just made sense, but they're staggered. So they're 18x10s and 18x8s. And because of that, it kind of limits your tire selection, because you basically have to get staggered tires. So we wanted to fit the biggest tires possible within the wheel wells of this car, but I wanted a big sidewall as well. I love a muscle car look, and part of that muscle car look is having big meats. So having a sidewall, having as wide of a tire as you could fit on this car, that was the goal. So Falcon came through. They had the sizes, the exact sizes we want. I think it looks perfect. We sat this car as low as possible, and then played with the double adjustable shocks. So if you see when I'm driving this car, I'm not like bouncing around. This seat doesn't have a ton of cushion, but it's ergonomically designed so that you're not fatigued. It supports you exactly where you want to. So on a long drive, you're not going to get tired in this seat, but at the same time, you're feeling the suspension. So when we first set up this suspension on this car, I had like a more aggressive, basically compression and rebound setting. I had this thing set up basically like what you would want it if you took it out on an autocross or a track, and it was a little stiff. We don't have the best roads in San Diego. Obviously freeways are not perfectly smooth. So as soon as I drove the car around a little bit, I loved the way it turned in and handled, but I thought, okay, I'm gonna drive this more. let's go with a little bit more mild setting. So it was as easy as getting down there, turning the clicks, driving it where I felt it was right. I think this is a nice happy medium where you do have a tiny bit of body roll if you throw the car in real hard. But it's kind of nice because feeling that body roll but having it being predictable, you know, it softens up the overall ride, but it doesn't really take away from the performance characteristics. We have kind of a performance alignment on this thing. We took it to true line. I think we have like 2 degrees camber in the front, which really helps with turning. It feels quick and aggressive without being darty and all over the road while you're driving it. If you notice, my inputs are pretty smooth. I'm not like correcting the car all the time. I'm not sawing on the wheel to keep it straight. That was the goal. So you get all these good parts and then you fine tune them and you shake down the car. We have a couple 100 miles on it now. So the car is just continuing to get shaken down. One of the nice things is that mechanically this car did almost everything right out of the box where we wanted it to. So there was just minor adjustability on it. This car gets thumbs up everywhere, which is kind of a cool thing. You better get used to that if you're driving it. Being a bright red Charger, it doesn't look like anything else on the road. So you're gonna get a lot of attention in this car. You're gonna get thumbs up. This car reminds people of a different era. But yeah, so during our shakedown miles, we really didn't have anything go wrong. I think I fixed a leaky header gasket, which is pretty common on a fresh build. You tighten the header bolts, they heat cycle, they get loosened up, you retighten them, but sometimes when they get loose, they'll blow through a gasket. So I went ahead and threw a new set of gaskets on it, retightened everything, let it heat cycle, check them again, torque them to spec, pretty standard stuff. I was able to play with adjustability. So you now have adjustability in the shocks. You have adjustability in the brake bias. So we have an adjustable proportioning valve in line to the back brakes. So I was able to stand on the brakes real hard and get them balanced where you have that perfect mix of front and rear brake when you stand on them. I went and did a video with Autotopia where we pushed this car really hard, ran it up to 100 miles an hour, and then stood on the brakes. This thing stopped amazingly, and the brake portion setup was dialed. We didn't lock them up. It was just a linear feel of stand on them harder, they're gonna bite harder. The tires are nice and sticky. Sticky tires make the best use of brakes. When you lock up your tires on braking, it's because your tires can't handle the amount of braking capacity you have. So this thing does not have anti-lock brakes. So if you can set up the proportioning valve just right, where you stand on the brakes, you don't lock them up, you're getting used to that sticky compound and those massive brakes. That is very confidence inspiring because you don't know when an emergency situation is going to pop up and you want to stand on the brakes as hard as you can and get this car to slow down. When you're locking up brakes and you're sliding, you're not slowing down anymore and you're not in control of the car. So adjustability, tuning that in, tuning the suspension in where it reacts predictably when you do slam on the brakes. The car doesn't nosedive super hard and unload the weight off the rear, stays planted. So really most of the shakedown miles were really just tuning in the alignment, the suspension, the brakes, and of course the Holley tune. So we drove the car a lot, we're putting more miles on it, and we're getting that tune fine-tuned basically. We work with Sean Carnahan at MBT or More Better Tuning. Been back and forth with him. He's been able to dial in a Gen 3 HEMI. One thing you'll find, it's a Holley Terminator X-Max, so it has almost unlimited tunability, and most tuners are really familiar with Holley tuning, but not all of them are super familiar with tuning a Gen 3 HEMI. And then this is, according to Blueprint, this is their first 426 stroker from them that they've seen out on the road. So it's not a common package. So basically there is guys with Gen 3 426 HEMIs out there, but this is the first one from Blueprint with all these specific parameters set up this way. And so they sent it with a nice safe baseline tune that made power on the dyno. Then when we put it in this package, well, now all of a sudden the car knows, you know, the engine is dealing with a car that's putting actual load on it, dealing with the driving characteristics of this car, at this weight and the load that it's seeing. And so Sean was able to see all that, see all the driving characteristics that we put it through, and really fine tune it so that it idles really nice. It's crispy responsiveness. It doesn't rev hang. Something a lot of people have noticed is that a lot of the drive-by-wire cars, and what I mean by drive-by-wire is that this pedal is not physically connected by a cable to the throttle body. It's all via electronic sensors. So a lot of times you lose feel, but this car has good feel. Like right away when you step on it, it feels instantly connected. It doesn't have a lot of lag time. So he did an awesome job making the car feel intuitive in that way. So that's all the kind of stuff. There's other little things that we've learned along the way. We Dynamatted the whole car. So basically it doesn't get hot in here. We put Dynamat insulation on the entire car. So it has it in the trunk, the engine compartment, all the way up the firewall. It's got it on sound insulation on the roof. It's got it on the doors. Mopars are not known for NVH, in which NVH is something that a lot of the original equipment manufacturers, they dial it in. They have all these crazy machines that they put the car on. So when you take it out on the road, they isolate harmonics, vibration, noise, and they know how to cancel all that out. So the aftermarket has a lot of products that do a great job at that. We installed a lot of them from Dynamat to get this car where with all the windows up, you can hear the stereo, you can talk to somebody next to you, you can put the AC on. That's a big thing. AC efficiency is really helped by thermal insulation. You're not letting more heat than you need to into the car, so the AC is able to work better. It's not just noise. So there's a lot of things that go in with that, that we build into the car. The whole car was stripped down. We did an undercoating on the car so that you have a nice cleanable, serviceable, protective undercoating under the car. And it's basically the same as a nice bed liner, so it's scratch proof. You can wipe it down. It's road grime resistant. It stays clean. We did it in black so that it hides some dirt in between your detailing intervals. And then on the inside portions, we did Pour 15. So that's been kind of a go-to product in the car world. It seals it. It's going to protect all the metal from any type of oxidation. We did it in the trunk, the whole interior, and that was before doing all the Dynamat. So this car has a lot of years on it that you don't have to worry about it rusting out. Completely rust-free Charger that has all the protective coatings, but done with all the modern materials we have available at our fingertips today. So everything is done much better than they could have in the 60s. But there's just a lot of cool features in this car. So it has turn signals in the hood. And that was something I wanted to hook back up. So when you hit the turn signal at night, it has LEDs that light up in the hood. So even though it has the indicators in the instrument cluster, you get these really cool ones blinking at you in the hood scoops. Just another cool touch. The 60s, man, you had to be there, right? This is a 1970, but this car was designed in the 60s. And I wanted this car from the outside to be like taking people back to a time era where we had class, design. We were in a park. This guy wants to throw a couple. This car will do whatever you want. You pull up next to somebody that says, hey, get after it a little bit. No problem on the freeway in this car. And everybody's having fun. I'm sure they're smiling. I'm smiling like a schoolboy now. And then perfectly just downshift, flip the throttle, throw this thing into a turn. No problem. I'm going just as fast as modern traffic. One-handed, still talking to you guys. I love it. These are the best days for me. I just can't help but smile. So now you want to pass like a dump truck? Get after it, pass them, shift it in the 5th gear, cruise 80 miles an hour on the freeway with modern traffic. It's just so good that you have a car that can do everything smoothly. somebody's gonna get lucky. This is one of the best driving cars that we've built. All the cars that we do, we try to get them to drive really nice. Some of them have a lot of power that you can't use at all. This one's really fun. It has a lot of power, but it's really fun to use the power, and it's not scary to use the power. So I don't know. It's just a different balance that we were looking for, a different blend in the drivability. I think we nailed it with this one. We're trying to build a car that does everything well for the ultimate owner to be able to enjoy the car on a level that's like not that attainable to everyone. It's attainable, but it takes time, it takes money. You know, RestoMods is able to do all that thanks to you guys getting subscriptions, getting entries to win. We're able to do stuff like this, and it just helps the community, in my opinion, to have something like this available so that people can get entered to win, buy something. I mean, like, we have winners that don't spend a ton of money on merch, and they win a full-on experience of owning a car like this, and it's something special. It's not something that everyone gets to experience. I get to experience the fun aspect of building it, the fun aspect of doing stuff like this, driving it, dialing it in, and then the really fun days of when a winner comes in and picks up their car. I get to experience all that thanks to you guys. So we're pulling back in the shop. I want to give a big thank you to everyone who's watching, entering, just part of our community. I'll do a quick outro, and that's a wrap. Okay, that's it. I'm back at the office. What a pleasure. I can't say enough about how good this car drives, and that is not common for a Mopar. We did a lot of work to make that happen for one of you. So if you guys are interested in getting behind the wheel of this so you can see for yourself, other than just watching a video of me doing it and having all the fun, make sure you hit RestoMods.com and you could get entered to win this 1970 426 Gen 3 HEMI Charger.